Answer the first question on disabilities and also the third question, then leave the second question you raised to Claire. On the disabilities issue, in the Philippines actually, when you look at the census data, the numbers are not quite the same as the average that we cited, about 10 to 15% disabled. The disabled population, according to the census, is somewhere around just 5%. And in fact, I remember in a discussion in a meeting at DSWD, for the National Household Targeting System, the percentage of families that reportedly have a disabled child is less than 1%, believe it or not. Less than half of 1%. So it might be a measurement issue. So because it's so rare a population to that extent that we're not able to track it, we can't really say something about a rare population unless we do a special study on it. All right. So unfortunately, while we might suspect that there might be some issues about disability, but we do not have enough data to be able to say anything about it. Now, on the third part regarding hunger, while currently both the Department of Education and the DSWD have had, they do have feeding programs. In particular, DepEd has a school-based feeding program, but it is from kindergarten all the way to the primary school system. And we at PIDS are actually engaged with DepEd to study the impact. We're doing an impact evaluation study to figure out whether this has really been, to what extent, in terms of the goals for the school feeding program, are they really being met? Our process evaluation seems to suggest that, by and large, this is being run well by DepEd. But we did suggest to DepEd that there might be certain ways of improving their current school-based feeding program. We hope to get the results of a more comprehensive database of information done by looking at control groups as well as the treatment group that we considered 1,200 students who were part of the school feeding program and the corresponding control group. We hope to get it in the next few days or weeks from our data partner, and once we do that, then we can probably say a little bit more about whether or not, to what extent, because you can always say that empirically, how can you expect the kids, I mean, of course, common sense, how can you expect them to perform in school if they're hungry, But there are programs in place in DepEd and DSWD, and also I would like to point out that the government has in fact increased their budgets considerably, from less than 100 million in 2 years ago to about $1 billion yet last year, and this year, if I recall right, the budget has even increased further. So there are things that are being done. So the only question is, should we really, because in a way nutrition is not, I mean, to be fair to both DepEd and DSWD, they're just coming in, but this is really supposed to be an issue of the family properly feeding their kids. No? And in our own process evaluation studies just a few months ago, I was noticing that some of the kids are not necessarily even from poor families. They're just underfed. It might be an information issue that the children that the parents don't know how to properly feed their children. But certainly, we hope to make this as a continuing study to help government, DepEd, DSWD, and BBM think of all the other programs that need to be done. Yeah.
On the school feeding, I think we saw that a lot on the field. That there are teachers that really point out that the problem with these particular students is they arrive in school, they sit there, they stare out because they're hungry. So schools are aware of it, and schools, when they can, try to figure out how they can support it. This fieldwork was before the expansion of the budget for the school feeding program. Also, separately, not from this project, but separately, there are I've seen LGU-based programs that target nutrition training for mothers. Also, they should be doing nutrition training for fathers. Just for my advocacy, everybody should get nutrition training. So that both parents and children learn what they need to be eating. Because like in schools, for example, they have the merienda cart goes around. Right? And everybody pays their 5 pesos. In some schools, it's nutritious food. In some schools, it's junk. So it's not just the hunger, but it's also the quality of nutrition that they get. And maybe it's something to consider. It should be a core part also of the curriculum to teach nutrition. And that these learnings in the political literature, we're able to see that the learnings that kids have in schools get brought home to the parents. So it's in there. It's also, it's a way of educating the parents about the feeding. But definitely, for most of the kids that are coming to school hungry, it's not because they're necessarily underfed by the parents, but they're really poor. So school-based feeding is important because it's there that the school can have control over making sure everybody's fed when they go there. It is the teachers. We were able to see teachers were really fishing money out of their pockets to give food to kids, and they would go to school with food so that they can be sure that these 3 kids in their morning class are able to eat, or they redistribute merienda of the classmates, or other classmates will give money. So there is, at the ground level, they're aware that it's a problem, and that knowledge really gets trickled up. Hopefully, the expansion of the budget will make it a more impactful intervention. On the I guess feminization of migration, one of the things that we were able to observe from parents, and part of the concern was there is evidence that how parents treat their children in terms of how important education is for them has an impact on how serious children are going to take this. And part of the concern was when parents are poor and they have to pick which of their children will have to be pulled out of school and which child will stay, what are the factors that they consider when they pick, right? So one of the things that we were able to hear from parents is, their neighbors become nurses, teachers. The goal is to have an OFW in the family. And the OFW in the family is more likely to be female when they look around in their neighborhood, because the neighbor who has a house has a child who went to work as a nurse in Italy. Right? So that's what they see in their environment, and it supports this idea with parents that they need to invest more in girls because they have a higher likelihood of working as OFWs, and there's so much literature that's peppered around in the local studies. Like, for example, when it's females that leave as OFWs, they send more money back than the men who leave as OFWs. Right? So all of this, people are aware of this, especially when they get married to somebody foreign, and then they get more money because it's really, and it makes sense. It makes sense. Plus the fact that parents really believe that the girls are more likely to finish anyway. Right? Because they are conscientious, they think they are conscientious, they have more patience with the homework, etc. But our argument is that maybe that's a self-fulfilling prophecy also. Because as parents think and act as if the girls are always are more likely to finish and more likely to perform in school, then they're paying more attention to the girls, which lessens the support of the boys. So it's a multi-factor thing, the gender disparities, and we have to look at schools, we have to look at homes, we have to look at culture, and it's something that really needs to be